Hey, Gerard Ngeji here. If you are watching this video, that means you are a veteran or a military family, and you are here because you want to support us in helping us review our mental transition assistance program or mental tap, which is helping veterans unleash the superpower of your military mindset in the civilian world, in your professional career, and heal invisible wounds. And it's extremely powerful. But we do need to have it reviewed, and we do need to work with veterans like you to make sure that we stay current and that we are aware of the challenges that people are facing, and making sure that we have tools and resources inside our program to help everyone who are facing these challenges. And at the same time, we are also going to provide you with direct assistance and support on one of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now. Now, the people who are coming to this page usually come from a few places. It can be from LinkedIn. Maybe we are exchanging messages and connecting on LinkedIn, maybe through emails, or maybe through referrals. But whatever the scenario is, we are here to review the mental tap program first, because by watching this video you are going to be up to speed into the guts of the program itself, so that during our meeting we can actually collect your feedback, answer your questions, and then have more time to spend assisting you for free. This is a way for us to create a win-win scenario where we can assist veterans, continuously sharpen our tools, and make sure that we have tools for everyone and for all the challenges that we have identified, and at the same time continuously stay up to date with what's going on the market, stay sharp or sharpen our tools or creating new tools, but also assisting people who are assisting us. So you should be getting out of this presentation with questions, suggestions, feedback, anything that pops up in your head. Please don't hesitate to be brutally honest. We've already heard everything, so you cannot surprise us. And it's really important that we are transparent and really ready to get down to the bottom of things and question everything, because that's really how progress takes place. So, with no further ado, I'll just go ahead and start sharing my screen, because everything is actually already inside the presentation. And I'll take this also as an opportunity to really talk about myself a little bit for people who don't know me yet, and make sure that you also understand me and how the program came about, and the journey that led us to coming up with this giant program, because it's really a gigantic undertaking that we underestimated at first, but over time we realized how big it was. And that's why we also need to make sure that we continuously work with veterans, because you guys are really the people who are feeding the system, and helping make sure that we have everything that we need to support at least the majority of cases. And so far, really so good. And it's really important for us to also be transparent about the fact that the content of the program really comes from our experience working with veterans. And so it was built by veterans for veterans. I'm just a helper and a facilitator because of the strategy that we came up with. And I'll share more details about that in just a moment. So, how Mental Tap helps veterans unleash the superpowers of the military mindset to succeed in their professional career and life after service. Now, many veterans thrive in the civilian world, but government studies show that not only many are struggling, but there are some crazy statistics that are essentially saying that almost half of the veterans who complete traditional TAP programs or government programs or other traditional transition assistance program, almost half of them quit the first job that they found through this program within a year. 80% within 2 years, and many go get lost in their professional career and go through multiple different directions, and this can take decades. And over a certain period of time, your resume looks out of whack. You lose your energy. You lose a sense of purpose. It's really a damaging situation that we are trying to avoid with this mental tap program. Additionally, we're also very familiar with the 22 veterans a day who are lost to suicide, and many face homelessness, depressions, and things of that nature. And then we have the mental health and the mental wellness challenges that are exacerbating the prescription drugs abuses and creating more accidental death. And the obviously the mental health issue is connected with the disconnect, the challenge with the disconnect, relationship issues, and then all of that obviously have impact on career growth and financial struggles that are not really easy to avoid at the moment when we are feeling out of alignment, or we have mental blocks that are holding us back in life. And that was part of my experience, as I'm going to share in just a moment. All of these challenges are connected, and I believe that the current system is missing on these connections and focusing on symptoms by proposing treating military transition as a simple job change effort, when in fact it's the whole life transition. And I know as a veteran, you have experienced that and you know that, so we don't necessarily need to dive into all of these stuff. And before we get into more details, I'll just quickly share a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Gerard Ngedi. I'm the founder and CEO of FaithSMagnet, but I'm a former IT consultant who worked for federal government agencies like the GSA, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where everything started, and NIH, the state of Connecticut Department of Public Safety, and Fortune 500 companies like HBO, Bank of New York Mellon, American Express, Viacom, a lot of different, DDIT at the moment, a lot of big companies. And I was very successful. I've always been very successful in my IT career, job interviews, and everything I really put my mind to, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing differently than other people. But in 2015, I had a traumatic experience at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where the police commissioner came and arrested me for no reason. And after that, 9 NYPD police officers invaded my apartment in New York. I mean, it was crazy. After that, I had PTSD, as you can imagine. I already lucky I survived, but at the same time that I was going through therapies, I was taking prescription drugs, it was just numbing me and I wasn't healing. That's why I started working with my therapist to really understand what I needed to do to actually heal, as opposed to just getting numbed. That's how I started getting fascinated with this concept of self-actualization, which is essentially the process by which a human being achieve our full potential. That's how I managed to figure out ways to heal using a visual language, using in technology called UML, the Unified Modeling Language. It's very popular. You can Google it. And it's essentially that methodology that I was diving into when I was putting things into diagrams. I was working with therapists and psychologists, and then I started expanding to priests and all sorts of people to really make sure that I wasn't doing anything crazy with my own mind. But when I started sharing it with people, that's when I realized that I was actually doing something that was extremely powerful. And that's how I took I realized that I had a groundbreaking technique, and then I took a certification, an NLP life coaching certification, because at that point since I come from a military family, my father was a military all of his life in Cameroon. He wanted me to be a priest. I don't really know why, but at the same time, he was onto something since I'm here. But at the same time, when I figured out when I was going through that process, dealing with PTSD and prescription drugs, I landed on a lot of website online that was talking about veterans. And so the fact that I come from a military veteran, it just became like a calling, because I saw my father's struggles also through this, and decided, and it just became a calling to focus just on veterans. So since 2018, I work with thousands of veterans and military families to develop this FaithSMagnet mental tap program, Be the Best Version of You, as well as the workshops, because it's not just the online programs, it's also workshops. It's different tools between the two. And that's essentially what we want to make sure that with the conversation that we are going to have when we actually meet, we want to make sure that the tools that we have cover all angles, because we realize that it's actually something, even if it's a huge undertaking, it's actually something that's manageable. So now I specialize in helping veterans and military families reach full potential and succeed in the civilian world. And so that's essentially the way the mental tap program was created. And so far so good. We only have positive results and positive feedback from all veterans who are participating and who are sharing their feedback, and who are landing on our website to leave comments and things of that nature. So one of the things that we've learned working with thousands of veterans for the past almost 8 years now, the mistake we see a lot of veterans making is that many deny that they are facing challenges, right? And they try to push through these challenges just like in the military, which is a huge mistake, because it costs. In the civilian world, time is a lot more precious, because in the military, everything is on the schedule. In the civilian world, everything is really you really decide everything you want to do, and so a lot of veterans are also seeking a quick fix instead of looking for a long-term solution. So that's another major challenge, because people want things that look like tap, that's going to take a couple of days or maybe a week or so, but they don't want to spend 10 weeks working on themselves. It looks like a nightmare, when in fact it's really the only way to go, because this much knowledge cannot be shared in just a couple of hours, because that's really one of the reasons why the current system is failing. And a lot of veterans are also waiting for a solution or an opportunity to come to them, because in the military, everybody is really close. There is the camaraderie. You can trust the people next to you. In the civilian world, is a dog-eat-dog world. People are fighting for themselves, and they may not necessarily bring these opportunity or solutions to you as much as in the military. So you really have to be a self-starter. You really have to be aware of what you need and things like that. And so that's also one of the things that we focus on in the program. A lot of veterans are really not knowing how to write an enticing resume that produces results. It's crazy to really realize how simple some of these things are. There are very simple techniques where you can find information based on your industry, based on your job, based on your career path. There are based on your own passion and purpose to actually write a resume that's going to get people who are hiring in your field to actually see you as the best candidate. It's extremely easy. That's how I managed to get into the Federal Reserve, Bank of New York Mellon, GDIT, HBO and companies like that, using dangerous prescription drugs to cope with inner mind issues, because these prescription drugs, they don't really heal. They just produce a sense of numbness, and then over time, it may feel better, but it's because you getting used to getting in that a sort of zone of comfort that is essentially slowing you down, and that's really not the solution. When in fact you can heal much faster and much effectively when you develop your ability to become your own therapist. And a lot of veterans also make the mistakes of having limiting beliefs about themselves, and they limit themselves to the past military career that they have, and they don't necessarily explore the full job market, when in fact that's where the gold is. And so we provide all of the tools to achieving that. And of course, many other things. We cannot really cover everything because we really try to stay away from using a lot of text on this presentation, because we need to get into the actual images that are composing the program. Now, self-actualization is the method that we use to really follow a scientific approach. And self-actualization is defined as the full realization of one's creative, intellectual, and social potential through internal drive. This scientific concept is at the center of psychology, all religions, all human sciences, philosophical doctrines, even martial arts, stoicism. Everything is based on this awareness of oneself first, knowing our gift, our talents, our passion, our purpose, our inner drive, understanding oneself, our family, of course, because the people we are connected with also included. And so that's really the central piece of the program that we're focusing on to make everything scientific. Now, Jesus Christ in the Gospel of Thomas, saying 67, says, "Those who know all but are lacking in themselves are utterly lacking." This essentially means if you don't know yourself, you are in trouble, you know. And then when you transition out of the military, there is a shift in your identity. There is a shift in your job, in your function, in your lifestyle. There is a lot of things that are shifting. So these idea of self-knowledge is really what is lacking in, and it is fundamental in life in general, not just for human beings. Even mouses and dogs and all sorts of animals and plants are self-actualizing. It's essentially the idea that this universe we live in has rules, and we have been created with gifts and talents that are already growing inside of us, whether we realize it or not. The only challenge is that we get used to who we are and we forget to really understand what makes us unique, you know? And so that's where self-actualization is really crucial, because we are very much extremely unique, not just based on our values and our principles, but and the way we look, but also in the things that we are supposed to be doing in life. So self-actualization is helping us in all of these areas, and an infinitely faster. Mental health, healing PTSD, and all of these things are all tied to this concept. So what is standing between veterans and the success, happiness, and fulfillment that they want is actually a little bit of clarity and a mindset shift, which are not necessarily things that we need to go to school for. We don't necessarily need to have another fancy degree or anything like that. We just need to have more clarity in life. And that's what this mental tap program is focusing on. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. You can pause the screen and read through everything. But self-actualization is a scientific process that provides clarity in all areas of life, including identity and leverage core gifts and talent for more financial and professional successes, entrepreneurship, personal development, career development, military transition or career growth, transforming invisible wounds into and mental blocks into strengths and clarity. This is a powerful aspect that all human beings already have. We can go through therapy, but we can also understand ourselves in order to be able to do that infinitely faster and more frequently by ourselves, as opposed to having to go and open up to a therapist, you know, because we don't even need people to open up to us. We just provide the tools, and people already know how to process the things independently, you know. That's powerful. Achieve mental clarity and well-being without relying on prescription drugs. Navigate identity adjustment to find balance without the uniform. Develop executive level communication skills and create a clear vision for the future. Build a successful entrepreneurial path with advanced online marketing strategies, which is essentially part of the program, because the strategy that you use also has to tie with you. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, it's going to be different. Me, I am an introvert, and my marketing strategy is going to have to rely on things like these kind of videos. An extrovert is going to be making videos every day. And so knowing that, and not just going out there to imitate someone else, but being the best version of yourself, knowing your skills and your limitations, and knowing how to adjust who you are with what you do so that you can go further and faster and doing something that feels natural and pleasurable. That's the key to harness the superpower of your military mindset and dominate in the civilian world. Optimize your resume writing, LinkedIn profile, and interviewing skills for maximum impact based on who you are. Enhance relationship skills, personal skills, interpersonal skills, self-awareness, self-reliance. Everything is tied to self-actualization, because the more you understand yourself, the more you also understand others. Now, how do we do that? We do that with visual learning. In 2001, a scientific study has proven that visual information are processed 60,000 times faster than text, and it hits the subconscious mind immediately. And further studies found that the human brain deciphers images elements simultaneously, while language is decoded in linear sequential manner, taking more time to process. This is a very, very powerful aspect of the program, because we only use tools that are visual. That's essentially what my talent is. And that's why I was working with psychologists and therapists, asking them questions to come up with tools, sharing them with them for them to review and validate. And that's essentially how, over time, I learned how to build this tool and train people, and realize how powerful it was when it helped me heal in no time, helped me understand and discover my gifts and talents in no time. And does the same for every single veteran that we work with, veterans and civilian alike, because all of this stuff is scientific and extremely powerful. So that's really the secret of our program. And that's why Gerald H. Smith, a former U.S. Navy captain, he said here, Gerald brings a phenomenal and simplified approach to service members and military spouses on the so very important self journey ahead of military transition. Don't delay and get on the FaithSMagnet train today. So Jared is a great guy, and he's going through a lot in his transition and in his personal life. And our program really, really helped him in all areas of life. And so that's why I'm so happy that he gave us this testimonial, even if it's a short one. Now, how does the program work? It has two portions: an online course plus live workshops. The online course is focusing on the internal world. It's available 24/7. It's on demand. It's got dozens and dozens of tools and resources, and it's equipped with a chronological workbook, which is essentially a workbook where you start in the beginning. It's actually attached to the first video in the program, and you can actually start watching and going page after page, because the tools that are in the book are aligned in the same order than it is displayed in the program itself. It is 100% free when you join the live workshop. The live workshops are different than the online course. The online course, as I was saying, is focusing on the internal world. The live workshops focusing on the external world, which is essentially career-related stuff, interviewing stuff, mental stuff that are involving other people, relationship stuff, and it's broken down in weekly or monthly workshops, packaged in one workshop, 3 workshops, or 10 workshops, even though we can have 6 or 7 workshops. These are the standardized kind of framework that we use. And it also has dozens and dozens of tools and resources and strategies that you can apply right away. And these are essentially some of the strategies that I'm going to be using with you when you open up about the challenge that you're facing in your civilian career and life. We may be using one of these tools to assist you for free, of course, during our call. Now, what is inside the online course? Of course, we already listed that it was focusing on the internal world and that it's available online. But the reality is that these tools are extremely deep. And right now, you see some of them fully developed. But in the program, we go step by step. Like this bicycle, for instance, we start without no writings or around, with no wheels. It's just the frame. And then each step of the way, we add the handlebars, we add the front wheel sections and the back wheel section, like step by step, to really show how the whole life works, because the 2 wheels are essentially areas of life, so we're not going to get into that here. But the idea is that these visuals, they help really cover the blind spots that a military mindset is going to have in the civilian world. We have tons and dozens of them, and the program is actually going step by step, tackling each aspect one by one, so that we make sure that we do not leave any stone unturned, covering things following this framework of self-actualization. As you see here, we have self-realization and vocation. It's essentially the same thing. The self-realization is essentially happening inside, and the vocation is happening outside, right? The vocation is going to be tied to the job that we do, and the self-realization is going to be us, inside of us, realizing the job that we are wired for. We also use other tools, psychological tools, like Myers-Briggs cognitive functions that you can see on this table on the side here, and it's extremely complete, extremely powerful, and it's all focusing on the internal world. And in the end, you have also this workbook, which is on the left side here. It is essentially a 90-page book that contains all of the tools in the program. So imagine it's 90-page, and so it's a lot of tools. We just looked at just a few of them. The reason why we use these visuals is because it makes everything extremely powerful and extremely simplified. And the one on the left is another tool called the 300-degree life vision plan, and it's 14 pages. And these are essentially some of the key tools in the online portion, which is taken, of course, independently and on demand, and you can bring questions to the workshop. Now, Jesus Cornell, a U.S. Marine veteran, says, FaithSMagnet mental tap, be the best version of you, has opened up my heart, mind, and spirit to new possibilities I had never heard of before. In addition, it stimulated more curiosity to keep opening new doors. He sent me this message, and I was like, can I use it and share that with people? Because that's essentially what it does. It helps you open new doors, so that the cycle of stagnation that we can find ourselves in our career cannot happen to us, because of the creativity we gaining through this process of self-knowledge and self-actualization. Because the more we know ourselves, the more we also know and understand others. Now, the workshop portion, which is the portion that happens live in workshop meetings, similar to what we're doing right now, but we're just live. And live workshop focus on the external portion. That's how we get more personalized. That's how we get more tailored to the specific need of the person without tools. And that's also why we really need to have the conversation that we are going to have, to make sure that the tools that we have, the challenges that veterans are facing, are things that we have tools for, right? And so that's that portion that you see here. We have a bunch of other tools. We are also using Myers-Briggs, but we also have a lot of other tools, and it's the same process. We don't necessarily show the tools like this it's evolving. We go step by step, you know, like a tool like this, for instance, can start with just a little dot in the middle, and then we add quadrant A, quadrant B, quadrant C, and then we add an arrow here or there, and to really explain and make a point in a way that is sinking and transformative, because this visual thing is extremely powerful. And I will explain it more into that in the later stage when we get into other pieces. So this is just other tools that are in the program. Right now, it may look like nothing, but it's really diving deep into aspects of life inspired by scientific research, of course, self-actualization, all religions and human science, because they are all saying essentially the same things. And that's essentially what we put into tools that are rewiring the brain and helping us realize the things that we do wrong. Now, we also dive into resumes. We also dive into concepts like Ikigai. And so it's truly transformative when you've collected all of these information in a visual way, because now it just clicks. You don't need to think too much. Your mind is shifting with that clarity. It's like what Bob Proctor is calling a paradigm shift. That's really what we do in dozens and dozens and dozens of times, sometimes dozens of times for one single tool, you know. That's really how powerful it is. And so that's a powerful process that we go through live, working directly one-on-one. Here we have a testimonial from Tara, an Army veteran, and she says that there is nothing like being your own enemy. And Gerard helped me see that. His program will further guide you into seeing your purpose, past the trauma, negative talk from self or others, PTSD, and fear of failing or winning. Because a lot of things are things that are in the subconscious mind. And Tara here, she had a lot of inner mind blocks that are keeping us, that were keeping her from achieving her full potential. And when she became aware, that's how the mindset shift takes place. That's what she was mentioning here when she said there is nothing like being your own enemy. Now, people are not necessarily going to be aware when they are their own enemies. That's really why we need a visual system where you, inside of your mind, you see for yourself without having someone getting inside of your head like a psychologist, you know, because we don't do that. We just provide you the tool to become your psychologist. So success is built from the inside out, which is why our system focuses on strengthening both our internal mindset and also our external actions, right? Because our behavior is the result of our thought, of our mindset, the way we process our energy. So when we cover these two areas, the internal mind, which is essentially the online portion, and the external action, which is what we do during our live workshops, we cover everything that way to achieve our self-actualization. Each tool is grounded in proven scientific concept, best-selling books, and strategies that yield exceptional success for both veterans and civilians, entrepreneurs and employees, and practitioners, everyone, because it's the exact same thing. It's just a matter of understanding ourselves and our gifts and talents and having strategies to actually go out there and making things happen. We have more than 70 tools and resources which practical steps to regain control and create real momentum, because we really want to create that energy so that we wake up every day motivated, inspired to actually go and change whatever we want to change in our lives, and have the creativity and the purpose, the vision and the clarity, to the energy to actually do it. These tools are essentially helping us have the clarity so that the mindset shifts. So Jack Bosma, a U.S. Marine veteran who worked with us in the past, he says this course is an outstanding, chronologically developed and professionally delivered series of learning events. All veterans and families members will immediately obtain valuable knowledge and skills as a direct result of completing it. And so this is another testimonial that I really, really love because it explains really well how the program is structured and how it's delivered. Now, the military mindset is superior. I've always said that. Veterans have a superior mindset than civilians, but it has blind spots in the civilian world, which is essentially destroys everything. That's why our visual-based system helps veterans remove these blind spots to unlock their full potential effortlessly. It's really a liberating process, you know? Now, visual learning and hands-on experimentation, visual learning in the online course, hands-on experimentation in the workshop for the internal world and the external world is essentially powerful enough to reach the subconscious mind directly. So this is what drives lifelong transformation in personal development, mental wellness, career development, and all kind of aspects of life, because it's experience that is preparing us for challenges going forward in life. You know, traditional programs often focus on symptoms. That's why participants don't see a lasting transformation after completing these programs. So that's what really makes our program unique. I hope you have a bunch of questions by now that you can write down to share with us when we have a chance to meet and to question things in the program, and also that you're going to be ready to listen when we are sharing the feedback based on the challenge that you're facing, that you're going to be wanting, if any, you know, because you don't really have to have a challenge, but if you have a challenge that you're facing that you mentioned when you were booking a time, or when you will be booking a time, we are going to work on that using these same principles. And we have Grayson O. Wilson here, who is a U.S. Army veteran. He's doing great now. When we started working, he went through PTSD, was depressed. He had thought of suicide. I mean, I don't even want to get into all of the things that he told me, but now it's great. The other day I saw a post from his girlfriend on social media. She was saying something amazing about how he's helping her achieve something that I don't want to share here right now. But the idea is that he's completely transformed, you know. And his testimonial here, he says, this program will spark deeper thinking and awareness from who you are, what drives you, and how you can achieve your dreams with efficiency. Because that's really what it comes down to: achieving our dreams, achieving our full potential, finding that most ideal path, and being that best and limitless version of ourselves, so that we can actually make things happen in our life and get creative when the going gets tough. So now my question would be, do you have any questions or suggestions to help make the program even more complete and more effective? Please write down your questions, your suggestions, your comments, anything that comes to mind, so that when we have a chance to meet, we can actually have a chance to dive into what you think about, and make sure that we can also answer those questions and improve our program, or identify any gaps in our program for tools that we need to research on. Because at the moment we find the coaching service or the coaching tool that align, we can turn it into our own tool. That's really what makes this so powerful. This is like 70 programs in one, because we have a bunch of tools. Each tool is an entire program. But what makes it so powerful is because it's visual. If it was a bunch of books we had to read, it would take decades to finish the program. But since it's visual, it's 60,000 times faster, and it's shifting your mind in front of you. Paradigm shift, like you can feel your mind shifting, you know, extremely powerful. So thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you. If you're already booked a time with me, you have nothing to do, you're good to go. If you haven't booked a time yet, please make sure you click below to book a time for the overview of the mental tap, so that we can discuss the questions that you have, or review any portion of this presentation that you want to review, and then we'll go from there. Thank you again, and I look forward to connecting soon. Bye-bye.